Jouts, Ab Morrison-Hayward. Hello, I'm called Ab, and welcome to the islak live stream. Happy Friday. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my webcam here. That's a new intro for the live stream. I'm going to play a little bit of background music here. Okay, so earlier this week, there was a translation request that came in on the Facebook, the islak Learners Group Facebook page. And here is the request. It says, hello, how would you say beautiful sunset in Haisla? So immediately when I saw this, I thought, there's a lot of different ways we can go here. So first, here are some words for sunset. And these are from the 3 linguists that have worked with the Haisla language. So I cross-referenced all of these. So the first word is Kitohuid. Kitohuid. So Heinvink describes this as to go down. To go down, and that's in reference to the sun. Lincoln and Rath have a much different definition. They say it means to start to list, to tip slightly when being entered. And this is in reference to a canoe. And Emma Bach says this means go down in terms of the sun, or to set, again regarding the sun. So we have some discrepancies in terms of the definitions here. So Heinrich and Emma Bach have very similar definitions. Lincoln and Rath have a very different explanation as to what Kitohuid means. So that makes me a little bit hesitant to use that word. I know it was suggested by somebody in the chat, in the comments on that post. But after taking a deep dive, this is what I found. There are very different definitions of that word. So another word that I found is this here, and it's Klihoya. Klihoya. So Heinvink did not have this word in his dictionary, so it can't be found there. In the Lincoln and Rath dictionary, this is described as to mean northwest or red sunset. Emma Bach describes it as clouds, light gray, mixed with red, or northwest or red sunset. So the Lincoln and Rath and Emma Bach definitions are very similar. And then I found another one, and it's la'is. La'is. This means to go down into the water or near the shoreline. That's according to Heinvink. Lincoln and Rath describe this to mean to set. That means the sun or sunset. And Emma Bach describes this as set, go down, sun, or go down to the water. So there's 3 possibilities for the word sunset. Of those 2, I would probably lean towards this one here, Klihoya. I think that would be the most appropriate here. So we've looked up words for sunset. Next, we'll look up some words for beautiful from the 3 linguists. So one word that was mentioned by a few people in the comments was Hesta. Hesta. Heinvink describes this as beautiful. So does Lincoln and Rath. So does Emma Bach. So pretty straightforward there. There's another word, Haithlix. Haithlix. So this is not in the Heinvink dictionary, but it is in Lincoln and Rath, and it's described as good looking, pretty, or having a natural skill at something. Emma Bach describes it as pretty, nice looking, or skillful. You could also use the word ache or eich, and this means good, and that's how all of the linguists describe it. And there's another word that could be used here, and it's eikinchala. Eikinchala is described as Heinvink to mean handsome. Lincoln and Rath says it means handsome or pretty. Emma Bach says it means good looking, beautiful, or handsome. So you can see we have a bit of a dilemma here already. We have 3 possible words just for sunset, 4 words for good or beautiful. So putting them together, I limited my options here. I chose hethta and tlihoya. So if I were to put them together, I would say hethtas tlihoyao. Hethtas tlihoyao. So you can see that there's been a couple of changes here. I've added this letter S. So this is a suffix, and it's short for, let's put in brackets here, hace. So hace is a full word that means by, of, or about. What you can do is you can actually shorten this down to the letter S, and you can add it to a word. In this case, hethta, which means beautiful, as we saw all of the linguists describing it as meaning. So hethta means beautiful. S is a way of connecting hethta to tlihoya. So tlihoya means sunset. And I've added this letter U, and it essentially means something like it's happening now. So if I said hethtas tlihoyao, this would mean it's beautiful sunset. So I would say it this way because I'm adding context to it. So this S connects these 2 words together. This U, which sounds like an O with the apostrophe. This apostrophe is just to separate the U and the O together from each other. If there was no apostrophe, then it would be like this, which you could also say. You could say tlihoyo. Hethtas tlihoyo. You could say that as well, but I think it sounds a little better to separate the U and the A. Tlihoyao. So that means it's a beautiful sunset. So if you're looking at the sunset, this is what you would say to describe it. You could also say hethtas laisu. Hethtas laisu. And it would mean the same thing essentially. So I'll just copy and paste this. So this U again means something along the lines of it's happening now. And the S combines the hethta and lais together. So altogether it would be hethtas laisu. It's a beautiful sunset. And I also said you could use the word ache or eich. This is something that some fluent speakers might say instead of beautiful. So aches would mean it is good. Aches, it is good. Tlihoya, sunset. O, would basically mean it's happening now. So this would mean something like it's... Oops. Apologies for my typing. My computer is very slow for some reason, so it's kind of messing me up here. I would say this would mean it's a good sunset. And this last one here, X la isu. X la isu would basically mean the same thing. A sunset that is good. Now, it's happening now. That's what the U means. So the reason I put this apostrophe here is because the letter U is a vowel and A is also a vowel. So the apostrophe separates this A from the U. Keeps the two vowels separate. In la'is, the last letter is a consonant. So I can just put the letter U there. And then tlihoya, again, ends in a vowel. So I put an apostrophe U to separate them. And then la'is ends in a consonant. So you can just put the letter U after it. So that's one way you can put them. That's one way of saying each of these. There were some suggestions in the comments. One was this one here. So this is a phonetic spelling. What I did was I went through and I tried to come up with a hybrid spelling, or using the standard orthography as a spelling system. So I believe what was suggested is hethta is the first word, and gizua. And I think there might be an S here. So I put this in I put a question mark after it because I'm not entirely sure. But my guess would be it's hethtas gizua. So hethta means beautiful. Gizua means sun. This would mean beautiful sun. And there was another comment. This was the phonetic spelling. And I believe this would be the linguistic spelling here. So I think it would be lansalain. That's this one here, these two. I believe that would be lansalain. And this means to go down. And then gizua, again, means sun. I wasn't too sure about this last part. I think it might be tsi. Again, I'm not really sure about that. It's hard to tell with phonetic spelling. So I believe this would be something like lansalain gizua. Lansalain gizua. And there was another part to it. This is the phonetic spelling. This was the linguistic spelling, the orthographic spelling that I was able to come up with. I believe this first one is duh, which means to see. And then heithta, which means beautiful. And then kinath means something like valuable or precious. So I think this would be duh heithta kinath. Duh heithta kinath. Something along those lines. So if I've made any errors here, feel free to point them out. As I said, I'm not 100% sure about my spelling here, but I'm pretty sure that's what these would mean and how these would be spelled in the orthography. So then I started to think, how would I say it? So if I'm standing outside, I'm looking at the sunset, what would I say? Well, first of all, I would leave out the word beautiful entirely. I would just take that out. I would do that for two reasons. One, a sunset is considered to be beautiful by everybody. So it's kind of obvious when you look at a sunset, when you point out a sunset, you're kind of implying that it's a beautiful thing. Also, it kind of complicates things a little bit. So that's why I would just take out the word beautiful entirely. The way I would say it would be something like this. Du gwilan kai, tli hoya yachai. Du gwilan kai, tli hoya yachai. And this would mean I see a sunset. So I'm describing it from my own perspective. And this would be if I see it right now. This would be in present time. This is present tense. So if I'm looking at a sunset in the moment, I would say, Du gwilan kai, tli hoya yachai. If I was describing a sunset after it had happened, I would say, Du gwilan kai, tli hoya yachai. And that would mean I saw a sunset. So this is past tense. If I wanted to include the word beautiful, you can see the sentence gets a lot longer. This is what I meant when I said it gets more complicated. So I could say, Du gwilan kai heith das tli hoya yachai. And this would mean I see a beautiful sunset. Or if I saw it, I would say, Du gwilan kai heith das tli hoya yachai. And that would mean I saw a beautiful sunset. But again, my personal choice would be this. I'm just going to I'll highlight this whole sentence here. That would be my preference. You could also, instead of beautiful, use the word good. So then it would be Du gwilan kai x tli hoya yachai. I see a good sunset. Or Du gwilan kai x tli hoya yachai. I saw a good sunset. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to my webcam here. So hopefully that helps. And I wanted to reply to the comment in writing, but it would have taken me a long time to write all of that. So I figured it would be easier for me to actually make a video so I could go through everything and explain all of this. So this is one of the difficulties, one of the challenges that we face when we're dealing with translation requests. So hopefully that helps you understand better. There are many ways of saying essentially the same thing. And in my mind, it comes down to the preference of the speaker. So I showed you a lot of different variations, and I showed you which one I preferred. I would say Du gwilan kai tli hoya yachai if I were looking at the sunset while it was happening. So hopefully that helps shed some light on things. And this really comes down to the fact that the Haisla language works very differently than English does. So if you just said beautiful sunset, you would only be describing it. The way that I said it, Du gwilan kai tli hoya yachai, you're adding more context to it. So you're telling somebody from your perspective what you're seeing. And so that's basically why I would put it that way. But again, that's just me. That's just the way I would say it. You ask 5 different people, they'll probably give you 5 different answers. They all might use different words. They all might put it a different way. Some might use the word beautiful, some might use the word good. Some might not use either of those words at all and just describe the sunset, the fact that they're seeing it. So that's what I wanted to present today. as I'm hoping that sheds some light on things and helps people get a better understanding of how the Haisla language works and the challenges that we face when translation requests come up. So that's it for this week's live stream. Thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, learning is its own reward. Ex quigueras. Wah.